This is Dead Rising 2. We're on Xbox Series X. The game has a 1080p, which is, I guess, quite crisp, and at 60 FPS with HDR support. That actually does look quite nice in comparison to the regular gameplay experience that we would know of in the past. So this is the second entry in the Dead Rising series. There is another title called Dead Rising 2 Off the Record. So this stars our good pal Chuck. He's trying to look after his little girl, and Dead Rising 2 Off the Record stars the protagonist of the first game, Frank West, and they kind of play around with certain things. And I don't think Dead Rising 2 is quite canon. Yeah, no, probably not, considering what happens to some of the characters. But yeah, they're both very interesting, and I think personally that you should definitely check out Dead Rising 2 Off the Record, because that one is an absolute blast. And this game is pretty cool too. I did quite like it. So they also have the Terror mode too, which is like a bike racing type thing. I'm not sure you'd be able to find people in it. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting entry in the series because it took the design of Dead Rising 1 but kind of increased the scope of the experience in terms of having a much larger world to explore, and also increasing the options for abilities, the story, and also generally just the weapons themselves, because the idea of the first Dead Rising was you're finding weapons everywhere, but now in this one, you're not only finding weapons, you're taking those weapons and you're creating combo weapons with those weapons, which is kind of a big boost and change over the original game, which is kind of, I don't know, fairly exciting to see in action. And you can also play this game in co-op. You can invite a friend online to play with them, and I think that's kind of a fun upgrade over the initial Dead Rising game, because it's a lot more fun in co-op. And I think also a point where Dead Rising 4 kind of went wrong was in regards to how it handled its multiplayer component. So yeah, things are pretty fast to load. There's a really cool strip that you can go into. I should also mention that once again, story-wise, you are battling against the clock in this game, just like in the first game where you're trying to, survive time limit in order, well, not just survive the time limit, but you're also fighting against that time limit in order to, save different people, enjoy different events, and go on different quests while playing. It's certainly an interesting title. Once again, you're leveling, and now you're also dealing with the looters, which can be a little annoying. It's just an interesting zombie game. It's something that is rather serious, while also being something that is a little bit of fun to enjoy. Oh, hello, Denise. We'll have to help you out in a sec here, because we need to find some zombricks for the gal. OJ, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Got zombricks. Because then you gotta go and help what's her name, otherwise you're like totally failing at life and being a father.
What's up?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then once again you're helping people, and then on the flip side of that, you're also possibly dealing with some psychopaths along the way as well. It just kind of took everything that the first Dead Rising game did right, and it expanded upon it in many interesting ways, and now it obviously loads and plays a lot better than it ever did before, which is kind of exciting, because this was a very fun entry in the series to play. But again, personally, I do suggest checking out Dead Rising 2 Off the Record, because it's basically the same experience as this, but just a little bit more dynamic. And oh wow, the people you have to deal with are so annoying in this, because they constantly get caught by zombies, and if they die, it's a big problem. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure in this in regards to dealing with people, dealing with survivors, and dealing with the zombies. There's a lot of pressure in this one to do everything right. Okay, Denise, like, I don't want you to get all angry at me here, which she might get angry at me if she keeps getting hit by me, but the fact that there's so many zombies means she's kind of dying, and I know she's kind of defenseless, but come on, Denise, stop being so useless, because you're going to get us both killed. I almost feel like letting her die from the zombies. Come on, let's go. They were a bit more useful in this one than in Dead Rising 1, though, in regards to the people that you're going with, the survivors, being a little bit more helpful. So I like the story in this one. I think it's got some interesting characters, some outlandish things. It definitely does do some nice upgrades over the original Dead Rising game, and of course they have fun with it. I think the scene and the scenery here, like the set of this whole, Vegas-esque area, is kind of fun to deal with. It's got some surprises, some interesting, weird events that take place, and of course there's an element of kind of, I guess, the game continuing onwards, even past finishing your initial setup, the overtime type thing, and I think that's kind of fun and something to watch out for. But yeah, it's just kind of an interesting world, a neat setup, and I mean, if you've checked out my Dead Rising 2 off the record kind of review and ahead of this one, you're going to maybe feel that a lot of this is familiar because it's basically the same game, minus the sandbox mode and minus the cool amusement park type area that you are able to visit, which is kind of a delightful experience. Denise, you are like asking for death. That is literally what you're doing. And this is like right at the start of the game, but obviously I've played through this before on 360. I think maybe once or twice, I don't know. I think I did it myself, and then I also played with a friend at one point, because it's a lot better with another person. So if you do have another player to jump into this with, I highly suggest experiencing this with someone else, because it's kind of, I don't know, a wonderful time. It offers a lot of content and ways to kind of experience this world, and of course the challenges of saving all of these people and then building up a safe home and dealing with this guy. Oh man, he's the worst. Oh, I don't like that guy at all. And then of course having to save the young girl and giving her the life-needing medicine of Zombrix, because everything in Dead Rising revolves around Zombrix. I don't know, I think it's just kind of interesting what you can do in this between 7 and 8 a.m., which is always such a pain. See, it's like 4:20 now. Ugh. It's just tiring. And then we got Stacy there. She's kind of cool. I like her. Anyways, yeah, such an interesting title. Saving at the save rooms, which is kind of fun and quirky. But yeah, it's a neat game, I think, is the biggest thing. And it does some really surprising things. Like, I think you'll be shocked the whole way through if you've never played Dead Rising title before. I don't know if this is necessarily the best one to start with. I mean, there are lots of options in this series, but I think it's a decent one to start off with if you've been looking for something, unique to play, something a little bit different. You might have fun with this one and the setting, because you're basically doing this. The reason you're in this city area is because you need. I still haven't unlocked that. That's so weird. I guess it's maybe after helping Katie out for the first time, but yeah, you kind of are basically trying to earn money to get Zombrix, because Zombrix is so expensive and it's life-saving, and obviously because of the little girl, you have to deal with that. But yeah, it's kind of funny. You can dress up all weirdly, again, just like in Dead Rising 1, different costumes, lots of combinations of mixing things up and doing weird stuff, having fun, and just being plain old strange. That's what I'm saying, is the game has, like, it's serious in terms of like what's going on in it, but yet at the same time it's lovably wacky and just beyond weird at like so many different moments. And then of course there's this element of exploration, going to these different areas, visiting these different scenes. Like the Strip is really cool here. It's got like so many different weird places you can go. Actually, the loading's pretty good on that one, and I like how the loading is a lot less of an inconvenience, because it really was a bit of a pain back in the day. I think there's actually Zombrix backstage here too. I'm trying to think of where that is. So many different like casino type areas. This was actually a really fun setting for Dead Rising. At least I thought so. They really did some like bizarre places, and the scope of it really changed. But the density of the zombies here is quite excellent. And then also, where is the Fortune City? The Barbecue Shack. No, this isn't the one that's got the Zombrix in it. It's the one with the stage. Oh, you are so annoying zombies grabbing me, trying to hold me. Is there really this many people in Vegas? I've been to Vegas a few times, and I never see this many people in the casinos. Never, ever, ever. Although the idea of that many out there would be kind of exciting to see with all the different things that could happen, but yeah. So now we'll go out to the main strip. This is kind of an essential part of the experience to see in action because it's so cool and bright and filled with life and zombies. There's all these different areas to it. It's just really wild, and there's such a good level of like density is the big thing. Just so many different like areas filled with zombies. They really did a good job with this game, actually. I like Dead Rising 2 off the record a lot more just because it's got like a softer spot in my heart, I guess you could say, in terms of really having more memorable times with it. But this one is actually quite well done. I think they did hit the mark with this entry in the series, and yeah, it's almost a bit of a shame that we don't have a new Dead Rising game on the horizon. I think it's a little disappointing. I do imagine we'll get like refreshes for the Dead Rising games at some point. They'll probably do some kind of like 4K pack or something, I'm thinking. Just haven't quite hit that mark yet in the gen, which is almost disheartening because, yeah, I want a good excuse to sit here and play these games again because they're so much fun. They're such enjoyable titles. They're so filled with surprise and delight and weird situations and funky characters. And again, you know, story-wise, it's actually kind of interesting. You're on this pressured clock. There's weird people trying to kill you. There's friendly people. There's people you need to save. There's missions you need to do. There are bosses. There are challenges. There are zombies, and the zombies get a little bit more aggressive at night, which is annoying. And then there are tons of different weapons and toys and tools that you can take advantage of in order to unleash upon the undead. Because let's be real here, they all need to die because the dead are rising, and that's never a good thing. And then, yeah, here, usually there's, yeah, that's where the thing would be where you go off into the fun little amusement park area. But that's really about all I have to say about Dead Rising 2. I hope I've kind of showcased it off well. I talk about Dead Rising 2 off the record more if you want to hear, I guess, more Dead Rising action and showing off the other Dead Rising games as well. It's just because they're fun experiences, they're good times, and oh wow, I didn't know that you would jump right into that one. I had more to kind of say off the start here, or off the stop here. Again, crafting's cool, the challenges are fun. It's very straightforward in regards to your goals and your objectives and what you need to do, but the fun part of it is going out there exploring and coming across random situations that you have no idea what you're going to do in order to handle them, and trying to figure that out on the fly, and it's just fun leveling and battling and exploring and seeing everything that this has to offer, because it's got so many weird rooms, so many weird moments, and just a lot of hilarity and yet seriousness at the same time. Dead Rising 2.